Hi, this is Billy from Jersey Wheels. Hello out there in YouTube land. Just wanted to make a quick video on basically starting a dealership, and we have previous video before, but I'd like to speak to you on, basically how do you start? Well, you know, the way I started which was many years ago, was, believe it or not, I was searching driveways for cars with no plates. I made a lot of money doing that. That ship kind of sailed now because so many people are doing it. And a lot of people now leave their plates, but in my market at the time, that's the way, basically, I went and looked for cars, you know. I also did search ads, which now basically what you could do is Facebook. You got to look around, you got to be quick. You see a car you like, call the person up. Never give a price over the phone. You know, basically, you go there, you evaluate the car, and you give a price. Otherwise, there were times I seen a car I liked and I offered the person more to try to get first in line, and that works out too. You know, then I kind of graduated from that and I became like a wholesaler. I'm going back many years ago, and I would go to the auctions and basically buy the same kind of cars and just run the same ads. But technology is different now. Nobody uses newspapers anymore, but that's basically me, right? I'm going back years and how I started this business. I was 18 years old. I'm 51 now. So that's basically how I started, right? You're going to hit many obstacles when you start this business. Many obstacles. There's going to be many people who tell you not to do it. Like I said, I've been selling cars since I'm 16, 15, 16 years old. So, I kind of seen it all. But a little later on in life, just to let you know a little bit about me, uh, guess I was 18, 19 years old. And I was wholesaling, was doing very well. I actually rented a car lot. I was 20 years old. And I was in Brooklyn, New York. You could probably hear my accent. I was in Brooklyn, New York, and I rented this car lot. And, people kind of flock to you, right? Everybody wants to, you know, either buy a car, or it just seems, everybody, you know, wants something, right? Either they want to buy a car or sell cars, or, all these people start to, kind of cling on to you. And what I did is, I was doing real good as a wholesaler. I was making a lot of money. I was going to the auctions at that point, and I was buying caravans, going back again years. I'm 51, and that was, when I was 19, 20 years old. And I was doing well, selling a couple of cars a week. I was putting ads in the paper, and everything was great. And my father always told me, he's like, Bill, car business is rough. Especially when it was slower, or as I was getting older, I was working with him, and he's like, car business is rough. Be careful with that car business. You know, it's rough. My father just believed what he believed. My mother says, your uncle used to sell cars. Coincidentally enough, right? I never really was close to my uncle, but she told me he used to sell cars, and worst business you could ever get into. Ever get into. God rest my mother's soul. She meant well, but, you know, things are slow, and, you start thinking, like, what am I doing? My wife, got married, and, always supported me on anything I really wanted to do. Never did she ever say, you know, uh, go and do something else. So my father had passed away. Anyway, long story short, I said I better just, listen to my father, listen to my mother, and had a baby on the way. And I'm like, I'm gonna go get a job. I was 23. My father just passed away. I just had bought a house previously than that, and back then it was very tough. You know, so I said, I'm gonna go get a job. And I'm gonna do it. And my wife's like, stick with the cars, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna get a job. So I became a salesman at a company called PC Richards. And it was very good. It was a very busy store, it was an electronics store, and kind of worked to forget about the issues I've been having with my dad, and dealing with all that. And, I made manager there in 6 months, assistant manager there in 6 months. And it was a good company and it was a good gig, you know. It's kind of more not polished for that, but became pretty polished pretty quick, right? Had a kid on the way to support, a house to pay, and I did what I had to do. I worked really, really hard at that job. It was kind of a thankless job. I mean, made a decent living, paid my bills, worked Christmas Eve, worked all the holidays, and kind of missed the kids growing up. It was truly in my heart of just listening to everyone else and not really what I wanted to do. But listen, I had a kid on the way and I tried to do the responsible thing. My father-in-law, God rest his soul, was basically always would say, on the books, get a job, and you need medical, you need this, you need that. He never truly understood me, where I was coming from, because I really believe I could have did much greater things in the car business. So, as my kids get older and the jobs, I left PC Richards and went to a mattress company as a district manager, years later. And I was there about 10 years, and I just said, 2008, everything crashed. And I said, I really just want to get back into the car business, which is a really hard transition back into the car business. So I basically started the same way, went to the auction, bought some cars, worked under somebody else, and tried to build a little bit of business back up. As soon as I got the chance, I rented a small lot in South New Jersey, and I worked it. I'm making it sound easy. It wasn't so easy. I had to, jump through hoops to get it. Year passed, and I rented it, and then there was a CO problem, and it was like the whole thing. Eventually, I went on. I started to use the skills that I found in the retail management to better the car business, right? So I had a little bit of an advantage. I know how to treat the customer. I know how I would feel. Like, I think of other things that a lot of car dealers would never think of. They could be new car dealers, seasoned. It's make the sale and run. With me, it was never make the sale and run. It was make the sale and make a customer. And, that's what this video is really about today. It's about not quitting on yourself. So if you're around someone that wants to work with you, and then all of a sudden that person doesn't show up, that should not affect you. You should be focused on what you do. For instance, right? You go to the auction. The auction's Thursday. You go on Wednesday. You check the cars. You have your tools. You have your scanner. You have your jump box. You test the cars the best you can to make an educated guess. You can't drive the car, right? You make an educated guess. Some auctions, you get away with driving it around a little bit. But you make an educated guess. And do not be around people who tell you can't do something. If you're focused on this business, I promise you, you can do it. You can do it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. You're going to have parts that are very slow. We're just coming off a terrible November and December and January, right? Coming off really, really tough few months after COVID. I mean, this was the toughest months out of COVID for me, and, definitely blessed when I'm buying the property I'm at. And I got such good friends. That's another thing about friends in this business. I have two friends in my life that I consider, no matter if I'm in the car business, any business, they've always been by my side, and I've always been by their side. I met a lot of people along the way, right? And when there's nothing in it for them, or they can't suck out anything from you anymore, they're gone to the next best thing. That's called a user, right? He's using you to see how much money basically they can make or what they could take from you, right? And, if there's not enough, they're gone. If there's enough, they stay. You don't need friends like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't associate with them. You should use them for what they're worth, 100%. I mean, that's the way I feel. That's called business. It's a give and a take relationship, but never confuse business with friendship. You're lucky if you have one real friend. I'm blessed to have two that would go to the ends of the earth for me. Literally, and I would for them as well. They're my childhood friends, and I definitely made some other friends along the way. I'm not saying I just got two friends, but I got two friends that I would really like depend on. And if you don't have those friends, that's okay too. I also got my best friend, which is my wife. She never, ever would tell me not to do something that I believe in, even if she didn't believe in it. She would always stand by me, and that's a huge advantage to me. And I see my friends, and that's extremely rare to have that. I always have my grandmother too. She passed away a long, long time ago, but always supported whatever I wanted to do. My point is, because I'm rambling on, is be your own best friend. Go on. If you're going to start this business, be focused. Don't get discouraged because it's so easy to get discouraged. If I counted the high points of when things were good, I didn't really think much of them because I kind of took them for granted. But if we start talking about the bad, basically, I could sit here and tell you about, what a terrible year it was, 2022. Probably was. It was probably sold half the cars I usually sell. It's a terrible year, terrible. But we managed to buy the property that year, right? And we own that property. We're not mortgaged, we own it, which is a real blessing. So when you say, is it the worst year? It's the best year, and it's the worst year, right? It's crazy the way the way it works in this business, but that's what this business is. So you could sell 5 cars in a day, or 40 cars in a month, or more, or you could sell nothing. You got to be able to roll with those punches, right? So what do you do now? If you watch my previous video, I would show you how, basically you could start in this business. Not just a basic video. There's all other streams to this business, all other avenues that this business goes. Wholesale, salvage, paperwork, banking license, 1,000. I'm going to try to put out some more videos this year. I only had put out one last year, But the point of this video, if you don't have that support to get in business with this, and maybe your wife or your girlfriend or whoever, says, nah, you can't do it. Never believe that. Never. If you want it bad enough, go and do it. I honestly, a little bit inside, feel I sold myself short. I'm 51, jumped back into this business. I got a job, like I said, at 23. My father passed away, right? So, back in 2015, I started this business that I'm doing now. It's 6, 7 years later, whatever it is. And I'm not like where I want to be. Where I really want to be is, a new car dealer. I want to have stores. I want to have this. I want my son to take over. I got all these dreams. It's hard at 51, but I'm going to keep trying, no matter what. The reason for doing this video today, right, is, I was talking to my goddaughter, and who I love very much. And, I was telling her, wow, it's, kind of slow. How are you? And she's like, how's business? And I'm like, good. It's Uncle Bill, why don't you do something else? Why don't you, you could do anything. You can, take it easy a little while and, go find a job or go, do something, whatever. I love her very much, and her dad was my best friend, and he passed away. And he's the guy I started selling cars with originally. We were very young at the time, and he was unbelievable with people, and he was definitely a people's person, and, during the years, I put the spin on this to do it in a way where the customers will come back. Customers will buy cars on my word, believe it or not. Usually sell inexpensive stuff, and kind of shooting for like $10,000 car sales, in cars, and they do financing and got the banking license and the whole nine. But there's a lot of cogs to this. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. It's not, one thing. This is something you build. It's like buying a broken down house and fixing it up the way you want. Something like that. You got to have the foundation. So anyway, my goddaughter, would tell me that, and I'm, what kind of godfather would I be, right? If I quit, goes to what kind of father would I be if I show my kids I quit? I'll never quit. I'll always keep going, no matter what it is I do. When I was a kid, there's people looked at me and said, "He'll never make it." People in my family, my in-laws, sometimes whoever, made me at least feel that way. And I never will quit. I always will keep going. I always will take care of my children. I always will take care of my wife, no matter what, no matter what happens. So getting off the beaten path of the cars, but it has a lot to do with the cars, because my point to you is never quit. If anybody tells you you can quit, you should quit. You should quit them. Or explain to them in a nice way, I don't quit. If this is truly what you want to do, and it's not just for cars, it's for anything you do. So this video is about, I guess, not quitting, really, and sharing my struggles with you, which is hard for me because I'm not a guy who likes sharing anything, any kind of private, anything like that. But that's about as private, that's about as public as I get. So, hopefully, if you are doing this business and you are struggling and you are, you're all hungry to do this business, maybe you can look at this video and know someone else, you know, got by doing it, that's making a living, making a decent living here and there. So, all right, hope this video helps everybody.